Hello there, brothers and sisters, lovers and misters. How do you do today? Welcome to the Ever Perfecting Life, a video blog series where I share powerful, groundbreaking, revolutionary ideas which can help enrich you, empower you, optimize you, and consequently allow you to give more value to the world. Now, the idea I'm sharing with you today is the idea of emotional mastery. You could also call it mental mastery or self-mastery. It's essentially the ability to gain more and more conscious dexterity over your own emotions. Now, this idea of emotional mastery and being able to control your emotions rests on two fundamental truths. The first one is that our emotions and the way we feel is dictated by our mental processes. Our emotions are a byproduct of where we place our focus and what we think about the object of our focus. The emotions truly are a consequence of what you do with your mind. That's the first key truth of emotional mastery. The second key truth is that we can gradually gain more and more conscious dexterity and proficiency with how we use our mind. Okay? So ultimately, you can become more and more masterful, coordinated, and deliberate with how you use your mind. Through very specific methods, you can gain those abilities, and then you can use that finely tuned mind of yours to create awesome emotions. Awesome. So in this video, I want to essentially cover two main ideas. The first one is I wish to illuminate for you and bring to light just how often our thoughts dictate our emotions. Often we can overlook this fact, but I wish to just really remind you and make it really obvious that your thoughts do control your emotions. Then after that, I wish to go into the practical methods and techniques of how we can gain more conscious control of our mind and then use it to create the results we want. So that sounds pretty damn awesome to me. I hope that it sounds awesome to you. Before we go into the meat of this video, I just want to make two quick disclaimers. The first one is this video is not the new age, airy-fairy concept of your thoughts create your whole reality, your thoughts create the world, your thoughts put out a magnetic vibration which attracts circumstances. The signals from your mind impact the matter and control that. That's not what this video is about. I think that those sorts of thinking and the reasoning is a bit flawed. What I'm talking about in this video is the much more empirical truth of that your mind controls your emotions, okay? This is a much more logical, easily validated idea and therefore can yield much greater results for us. The second little disclaimer is perhaps many of us have heard this notion before, that our thoughts control our feelings, but I would say a lot of us have not really observed this closely enough to understand it in an accurate, intimate, meaningful way. And nor do we often harness this truth consistently and deliberately in order to achieve the great results it has. I think that we normally just say, yeah, that sounds reasonable, but then we don't actually practice it. We forget to practice it. So after this video, I want you to go away and actually start practicing this, and you'll instantly see the amazing results. So I look very forward to this. Let's get into it. Okay, so we often think that the circumstances in our life are what cause our emotions. But the truth is, it's actually where we put our focus and our thoughts that cause our emotions. Now, why is it that we can sometimes fall into the impression that it is the circumstances of our life that give us our emotions? Because the thing is, right, there is like a whole world of circumstances all around you. Some of them may seem really at the foreground and really immediate. Some other circumstances may seem more on the periphery and more distant. Some of the circumstances in the world around you may seem really positive and you enjoy them. Some may seem negative and they're hindering you, etc. And we can really start to think that as we experience any circumstance, that is what causes us to feel something. That's what causes the emotion. But in between, receiving a circumstance and then having the emotion, there is actually some mental processing that goes on. Like, let's just say a negative circumstance happens, and I can give a personal example, because the personal examples are great because I actually understand it really well because it happened in my experience, so it can illuminate the concept best. So, I'll give this example of how initially I thought it was a circumstance causing me to feel annoyed. Then I realized the ways in which my mind was creating that, and my mental processes were creating that, and then how I amended my emotions by amending my mental processes. It sounds a little bit complex there, but you'll see how it's kind of easy and applicable in the example. So I was on shift at work, and the day, it had been a moderately annoying day just because there was a staff meeting that ate up before my shift there was a staff meeting, and that sort of cut into the things I wanted to get done that day. Then I went to the shift on work, and straight after my shift was another staff meeting on site, and this staff meeting it impeded on my regular routine, and it would be difficult for me to get all the work done I usually get done in my usual way because of this staff meeting. Without going into all the details, this staff meeting impeded my usual routine, so I had to try figure out a new method of how I was going to get everything done on time. I would have to change around my processes and be more resourceful. And I was sitting down at my workplace, and I was writing down in my journal, I was trying to piece together the logical puzzle of how I'm going to get all these things done, despite these new circumstances of having had a team meeting previous that ate into some of my time, having this next team meeting eating into my time. How am I going to get this work done with all these impediments here and these time constraints now? So I'm kind of putting it all together, and I was feeling a bit annoyed about it, I'm working toward the solution, but I was thinking, this is annoying. I was pretty much focusing on why these circumstances were annoying, why they weren't ideal, and just that they weren't that good. Now, if you asked me, if you asked me as I was doing it, Trent, are you focusing on what you don't want? I would have actually said, no, I'm focusing on finding the solution. I'm focusing on what I want. It's just annoying circumstances. But the thing is, if I gain a more nuanced understanding of where my mental focus was at that time, it actually was really subtly honed in on what was wrong with the circumstances, as opposed to purely just finding the solution among the circumstances. And then a little bit later, I went to a different location, and then I started to think of the solution, and I started to feel a lot better, and I actually nutted out the solution in 1 minute, even though it was taking me 10 minutes earlier. In 1 minute, I was able to nail the solution really easily and fluently, and I realized it was because I was no longer focusing or feeling that this was an annoying circumstance. I was just purely focused on the positive outcome of finding the solution. So, yes, what happens is often we have the circumstance come at us, and then we accidentally and really unconsciously focus on something about those circumstances, have some thoughts about those circumstances, then feel the emotion. But so often we can attribute the emotions to the circumstance because we didn't actually deliberately and with awareness choose our thoughts about it. It was like circumstance, then we accidentally, subconsciously, reflexively spewed out thoughts. Boom. Then those thoughts impact our emotions and we feel that. And yeah, if the thoughts are negative, boom, it gives us negative emotions. And then we may react to those negative emotions with more negative thoughts about what's going on. Then it can create a feedback loop because you are really just unwittingly and accidentally thinking thoughts you don't want to be thinking. And you've actually, you've lost the awareness that you can actually choose your thoughts. Pardon me. And that may sound like an extreme example of, like negative circumstance, then negative thought, negative emotion, negative thought, negative emotion. You may think, well, I'm not that neurotic, I don't, my mind is not that ill-equipped. But I would suggest that in even much more subtle ways, all of us sometimes create minute frustration or minute discontent. And we actually we actually impede ourselves from feeling our utmost, optimum, blissful emotions in a similar way by, accidentally thinking thoughts without thinking thoughts with the utmost deliberate, purposeful awareness. Okay? Sometimes the mind can kind of do its own thing and we don't even notice it. So, what is the method for gradually gaining more and more dominion of your mind, more and more dominion of your mental responses, which consequently impacts your emotions? The method for this, I like to call it teaching the monkey. Why do I call it that? Well, some Buddhists refer to the mind as the monkey mind because it constantly chatters, all day. It's chatting, even when it doesn't need to, even when it isn't being directly constructive. The mind just chatters. So in meditation, they look to calm this monkey mind or focus the monkey mind on something specific, just to stop all this unnecessary inner dialogue. So when we call this technique teaching the monkey, we are essentially teaching the monkey how to function better. So what is entailed in teaching the monkey? There's two particular steps. Number one is noticing when the monkey is talking. And then number two is showing the monkey the best ways to think. Now, to this first step, very often throughout the day, we have mental dialogue, but the thing is, sometimes the mental dialogue is just sort of unconsciously being excreted, and we never decided to be thinking those thoughts. Whether they are negative, whether they're actually somewhat pleasant, whether they're a bit funny, whether they're pretty mediocre, very often the thoughts that we have throughout the day just sort of come up without us purposefully putting them there. And then we just sort of experience those thoughts. Now, what teaching the monkey entails is whenever you're having thoughts throughout the day that you didn't purposefully put there, you notice them. You just put awareness on it and you think, okay, I'm thinking this right now. And you just see it. And then this brings your full awareness into the present. And then from there, once you've realized what your unconscious thought pattern was, you can then purposefully start thinking about something you want to think about. You actually decide to think about something in particular. Maybe you'll start to focus on, beauty, what you're grateful for. You'll focus on something in the present moment. You'll focus on a task in the present moment. Maybe you'll focus on problem solving in some sort of capacity, solving some sort of problem in your life. The main point is that you notice the monkey mind, you notice in a dialogue that was accidental, then direct it purposefully to where you want it to be. Now you can do this process of teaching the monkey both throughout everyday life, but it's especially useful in circumstances that are seemingly challenging, difficult, or tricky. This is where the power can really come in. So just say there's some sort of circumstance that you don't like. It can be subtle, it can be extreme, whatever it is, and usually it's subtle, obviously. But if you find that you are thinking about something that you do not like, focusing on why you're a bit discontent and why life isn't perfect right now, a bit of annoyance, the first step is notice the monkey mind. You suddenly notice, wait, I'm putting focus on this specific thing that I don't want, and I'm putting focus on the reasons that it's hindering me. So that's step one. You've noticed the monkey. You see the monkey. Step two is you start to deliberately have the sort of thoughts that you want to think. Okay? Now perhaps the thoughts that you want to think will be simply putting those negative ones aside and getting back to enjoying life and creating the experiences that you want. But perhaps the thoughts you want to have are to do with solving the problem at hand. Perhaps the problem at hand must be addressed and you must find the solution. But instead of just thinking about why the problem sucks and having a negative focus on what you don't want, you really are changing gears and you're putting your thought to the outcome that you want, the ideal outcome that you want to create from these circumstances. And it's really important to understand why you want to create this outcome, why you want to create this positive outcome. Perhaps it's because you want to solve this problem so that you can feel great again. You want to solve this problem so that you can give value to the world, so that you can help people out and help yourself out. Maybe you want to solve this problem so that you can feel powerful, so you can feel intelligent, so you can feel well equipped to flow through life circumstances and get the results you want. Okay, whatever the ideal solution is for you, it's really important to visualize the sanctuary which lies beyond the solution, okay? Have a strong why for why you want to create that solution. Then from there, you can start to purposefully think about what are the steps that I must do to get to that solution. And you're focusing on the, positively directed practical steps which are leading you to your outcome. Okay? And this obviously gives you really positive, enjoyable, enriching emotions. Because you are no longer focused on what you don't want, why it sucks, and why you're a victim. You're focused on how you can make the best of it. You're focused on how you can use this circumstance to create more goodness and to increase your capacity to create goodness in the future. You are learning lessons from this experience. You are moving towards your ideal outcome and you are learning the methodology for how to move towards your ideal outcome. And there's just like a limitless amount of positive things you can focus on. Really, there is. So I hope that you see the power of this principle, the power of teaching the monkey. Okay? Now, yes, obviously you can use teaching the monkey in difficult circumstances or when you're discontented, but I just really want to reiterate how beneficial it is to use it in everyday life, to really train your ability to notice when you are having accidental thoughts, whether the accidental thoughts are good or bad. Notice the accidental thought, then start to focus on what you want. Maybe a few minutes pass, you notice another thought emerges that you didn't actually put there, just emerges and you're seeing it. Wait, I'm seeing a thought there. Then you put your focus on what you want. And this trains you to literally become more conscious, okay? You're literally becoming more present with the world around you, and you're becoming more deliberate in your thinking constantly. And it can have huge ramifications. You can no longer be a victim, but you just start to constantly get better and better at creating the experiences you want in every moment. That is the power of consciousness, to be conscious of what you're doing in a much more precise and refined way than you ever thought possible. It can really give you the ability to create awesome results constantly. Okay? That may sound a bit intense, but maybe, your conscious decision is to relax and enjoy this moment, whatever it is. The main idea is that you have dominion of your experience because you have dominion of your mind. You're constantly able to choose your focus and choose what you do with that focus. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you practice teaching the monkey and you will see awesome results. I'm just so happy to share this idea with you because it has really invigorated my life, set me free in a lot of ways, and I'm just so happy to give that to you. And I want you to be blessed, I want you to shine, and for you to share your gifts, and this will undoubtedly help you cultivate your gifts. Thank you for listening. Much love to you.